In this video, I'm going to talk about the tuning tendencies of the clarinet at different dynamics. This video idea was actually suggested by somebody on the QuickStart Clarinet Facebook community group. So if you're interested in suggesting ideas, you can leave comments on the YouTube videos, or you can join the QuickStart Clarinet community on Facebook and ask questions there as well. And I'm always happy to make these videos that are about some specific things that you all are asking about, because I think it's really meaningful and helpful to have that interaction and engagement. So if there's anything at all that you think might be interesting to have a video on, leave a comment on this or join the Facebook group and leave a comment there, and I will be happy to make a video for your requests. All right, playing in tune on the clarinet is really challenging, and actually there's a funny story in the score for Percy Grainger's Lincolnshire Posy. In the beginning, he's sort of talking about the use of soprano saxophone and talks about how everybody complains about the soprano saxophone because they can't play in tune, but Percy Grainger's like, well, I've never heard a clarinet play in tune either, so I don't know why it's such a big deal. And unfortunately, it's kind of true. Playing in tune on the clarinet is actually quite challenging, but it's something that we need to deal with because playing in tune is preferable, and we need to sort of figure out how to combat that. And the more you know about the tendencies of the instrument on its own, the more easily you'll be able to make adjustments and fix things, and that's what I'll hopefully be able to help you with in this video. So the first thing is we need to know what the tendencies are of the clarinet, and I'm actually going to make at least one more video and maybe a few more videos about the tuning tendencies of the clarinet, but for this one's particularly about the dynamics. So what happens on the clarinet as you play at different dynamics is that as you go softer in dynamics, the pitch goes up, and as you go louder in dynamics, the pitch goes down. So there's an inverse relationship between the pitch and the dynamics. So what we need to do to combat that is figure out how to maybe open up and relax a little bit on the soft dynamics and then keep things controlled on the loud dynamics, which I'll talk about in a minute. But first, let me sort of demonstrate what happens on a note if you just do nothing with to compensate for this as you go from soft to loud and then back to soft. And if you go too much, you might even get little squeaks like that if you're biting too much and really pinching things off like that. And that's an extreme example of the pitch going sharp, but you could hear even in the overall thing that the pitch went sort of down and then back up while the dynamics went up and then back down. So there's two things that we can do to sort of fight this and correct for this issue. So the first thing is to be aware of it and try to compensate in some way. So when you're playing soft, think about being more relaxed, opening up, let the air do the work of making the sound soft rather than the embouchure. When the embouchure gets too engaged in trying to make the sound soft and trying to pinch off the vibrations of the reed, that's when the pitch goes up, and sometimes you might even get squeaks if you do that too much in the very, very soft dynamic. So don't feel too scared in the soft dynamic, still support really well, keep the air going, and let the air do the work, not the embouchure. Same thing actually in the loud dynamics, but almost a little bit of the opposite, where instead of letting the embouchure be too relaxed on the loud dynamics, we need to really engage the embouchure, try to keep everything focused, and really keep the airstream focused as well, so that it's a nice solid stream of air going through the instrument, just aimed at the reed and not anything extra with it, so that you're keeping everything sort of together as you get louder. The other thing to do is just honestly don't play that extreme of dynamics. I know that seems counterintuitive because we're always thinking we need to do more dynamics and we want more extreme dynamics so they come across to the audience, but it's not worth losing sound quality. Of course, you should practice and you should work on making your dynamics more extreme and be able to have a wider range of dynamics while still in control, but it's that being still in control part that's really, really important. You never want to play so loud that you're losing the focus to the sound, like I did in that demonstration where the quality of the sound, the focus of the sound really went away. There was no longer a chord, it was just sort of like blasting loud sound. We don't want that. That may sound loud, that may be 3Fs or 4Fs in dynamic, but it doesn't sound good, so it's not worth doing. What you want to do is figure out how to have your dynamic controlled and get amazing contrast between very soft and very loud, but your very soft is a great sound and your very loud is a great sound, no matter how much contrast. If you listen to professionals, even live in person, yes, they have contrasts and lots of different colors, but you can always hear them and they always sound great. They're never playing so soft that it loses focus or loses clarity to the sound, and they absolutely never play so loud that it's really blasting or gross sounding. And probably most professionals' dynamic range in terms of actual decibels is kind of a bit narrower than you might think. I think as a beginner, especially for myself, because I really like to overdo the dynamics as a younger player, so I think I probably got a bigger decibel range than a lot of professionals, but my low end didn't sound good and my high end also didn't sound good, so it wasn't worth it. So I think you can also experiment with getting different colors and contrast in the character of the sound rather than just pure decibels, because it's when we reach for those extremes of the decibels on either end of the spectrum that the pitch really becomes uncontrollable. So if you're looking to get control over your dynamic range and over the pitch of the instrument while you're playing those different dynamics, I actually highly recommend doing the exercise that I demonstrated at the beginning of this to demonstrate the bad pitch extremes, but actually do it aiming for good sound and good control over the pitch. So just take one long note. You can do any note, and you should do it on multiple notes throughout the whole range of the instrument. And what I want you to do is just play long tones, maybe do 4 beats or 5 beats or 8 or 10 beats, however many you want, up and then back down, and try to do it where you start at your very softest dynamic with a good sound and grow to your very loudest dynamic, still with a good sound, and then back down. And do it with a tuner. The tuner will really show you how well your pitch is staying in tune, and really work to figure out where that limit is that you can keep the tuner in tune as you get louder and get softer, and figure out what you have to do with your face to keep the tuner in tune as you get louder and softer. And one other sort of bonus benefit of this exercise is it'll also train you to have really good control over your dynamics if you can make it just really, really even. Every single 4 or 8 or 10 or however many beats gets louder, 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 softer, 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 softer. And if you can get that really good control over the pacing of it, that will also have tons of benefits for your dynamic control and your pitch control as you're changing those dynamics. All right, I hope this was helpful. If you want more tips and tricks about the clarinet, especially tuning tendencies, because that's the video I'm going to be doing next week, then be sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And if you have any questions or any content that you would like to see me make, leave a comment with that as well. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you in another video.